Kelly and welcome to GAA Sunrise, a show where we have a look at the morning headlines from the GAA world. Delighted to announce Roscommon heartthrob Shane Curran as my anchorman and delighted to have special guest Anthony Cunningham with us today. Welcome, Anthony.
Thanks, Chloe.
How are you today, Shane?
Outstanding, Chloe, as per usual on a Monday morning.
Good stuff. First off, I would like to thank the Hudson Bay Hotel for their remarkable venue and hospitality. As always, remarkable hospitality, and they are today's sponsors of today's show. First off, we want to talk about the Waterford Cork game from yesterday. Shane, you picked out a headline which really remarks Waterford's great win.
Yeah, Malachy Turkin, I think the great Malachy in the Irish Times, I suppose Waterford defy hurling snobs to keep their dream alive. I suppose in many ways he's talking really there, Anthony, about tactical maybe nous or genius of Derek McGrath, and there seems to be a lot of comment about this, I think in inverted commas, sweeper system. Henry Shefflin, I think, was about to take the head of Donald Cusick yesterday when he mentioned maybe the way the pundits have a view on how Waterford's tactics are set up. Have you a view on it yourself?
Yeah, I suppose it's the whole thing on the traditional view really is 15 v 15 man for man, which has really changed. I mean, hurling has changed and all Gaelic games have changed, soccer's game, rugby has changed, and the games evolve. But 15 v 15 really has moved on really. But I suppose some of the traditional counties and some of the traditional people that go to the matches and commentators, they prefer to see a Tipperary Galway match where it was closer to 15 v 15. But Waterford probably are the best team in the country at playing an additional defender. Dara Fives took up in the role yesterday because Ty Taborki usually plays it, and he sat between the centre back and the full back, or in the large area, and it turned out that he was practically man of the match. Really had a huge amount of plays. But the advantage that Waterford have above anybody else is that they're a long time playing this. They played at a very young age. A lot of their minor teams and underage teams, both in club and county, played this way. Yeah. So they're very, very smart, and they're very good at keeping the ball. And if you go and play this system, it's as hard to play that as play the traditional game, because you have to be very, very accurate in defence. They try and keep the ball and set up the best attack that they can and create the most space up front. And I think yesterday there was a turning point with maybe 20 minutes to go where Waterford had really snuffed out the Cork half-forward line, and there was they really got on top, and then they opened up really and pushed Austin Gleeson forward, and he made a goal, then got a goal, and Bennett at midfield was outstanding and coming through as a runner. So they have a lot of energy, and they're the basic points that they have. But it's an excellent system, but played by very, very, very strong hurlers. It's not every team that can play it because you need to have the skill.
But when you say that, I mean, is it a more fluid system, or is it an extension of a system maybe that Kilkenny played a number of years back, where they dropped their wing backs in and the wing forwards took in? And is it really that much of a?
It's not. You see, people get carried away, and Kilkenny for years, and other teams also saw what they were doing, maybe did other things. Like Kilkenny would have pulled back their wing forwards. You see that quite a lot in football, where if you're a wing forward now in Gaelic football, you're practically a wing back. You've got to be able to break. But Owen Larkin for years, Wally Walsh, all those players really played across the half-back line and defended puck outs really, really strongly. Yeah. So it's about both defending in those areas and then being up in attack, and they created a lot of space for the Henry Shefflins and the Eddie Brinnans. Yeah,
and I think when you're on about Fives there, while he was in that sweeper position, he seemed to be like a kind of maybe a quarterback in NFL. I mean, he was dictating the actual attack as well as the defence. So to have a skill like that, I mean, it's not necessarily he's in there just closing off the defence. He's also the launch pad for a lot of their attacks.
Yeah, it's a quarterback. In fact, you've got to be able to set up the plays really, and you've got to have a great vision and and trust your ability, but also to be able to pick out where's the best place to put the ball. Yeah. You rarely see someone launching a high ball, so they'll try and play it either ball to hand, or they're playing it in front of an attacker coming into the play.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of talking points, before the game, sweeper system. Obviously, the main one during the week was Ty Taborki, not being available for selection. But we have to talk about this Cork team as well, because they have been outstanding throughout the year, and to be fair, they would have been hot favourites for this game. So it would have been a very disappointing loss for them.
Yeah, I suppose Cork really, I mean, I spoke to Kieran Kingston last week. He was at the Galway Tip match. He was actually sitting in front of me, and he said, listen, we would have taken an All-Ireland semi-final or even a Munster final appearance at the start of the year. If you gave it to us, we'd have taken your hand off. So they were really the team of the championship. Really, they came from nowhere because they had put a couple of barren years behind them, practically the same players, but they introduced 3 to 4 new players this year, which made the difference for them, and they were really on a roll. I think the performance Patrick Horgan gave yesterday, for me, was probably man of the match, really, as he was a top player. He kept them in the game, he scored at will, and he delivered yesterday on the promise that he has shown, threatened to show for the last 8 to 10 years. But Cork, they will build on this, there's no doubt. They're very, very strong at underage. Have won the under-17 championship. They're in the minor final. Had a quite good under-21.
Yeah, they had a great win over Dublin yesterday.
Yeah.
Hogan Cup is coming back as well. I think they're coming back at that level as well.
Yeah, and they got very strong, and they do. Probably their coaching system at underage is probably the strongest in the country, and they really are Rebel Oaks. They're branded as Rebel Oaks, and they're putting a huge amount of work into underage, and they have a huge amount of players, huge amount of clubs. Bigger than any other country in Ireland. So
maybe some would say not before time, Anthony.
Yeah, you'd have to say that he probably took the eye off the ball maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, but they really have knuckled down, and I suppose the fruits of it are in the minor team and the under-17 team, and you've seen 4 players under 21 drafted in this year, and yesterday's experience, that would be the big thing for yesterday. It was Waterford's 3rd semi-final in a row. There's a lot of Cork players in the first semi-final. And it's very, very difficult to coach that. It's just experience, really, and being there. You have to witness the big games in Croke Park. They are a bit different from a Munster Championship game or a Leinster Championship game, and that's huge.
Well, in your opinion, Anthony, how do you think? I mean, the Callahan sending off obviously had a big bearing on the game.
Yeah, it's probably the turning point of the game, Shane. Cork had gone up 2 points, and it looked like they were after steadying the ship and had for the first time stretched out 2 points. The crowd, the rebels were being touted from every rafter in Croke Park. The crowd really got behind Cork, but he was a bit high with his second one. James McGrath from Westmeath had signalled to James Owens, and he was too high really on the tackle. It's difficult anywhere around the head now. It was a yellow card. He had picked up a yellow one earlier, so he had no choice, and he was a huge loss. It really opened up. The attack for Waterford really took off because they had that extra. Practically they levelled out on players, because when they pulled back their fives, they had that extra space up front.
Yeah, the 3 goals almost came down the centre, really, didn't they? I mean, obviously one from the wing, I think it was a great rob and a cross ball, was kind of like a mirror image of the first goal, but the second, the third and fourth goal were Gleeson's particularly.
Yeah, Gleeson turned over Mark Ellis, and that was the turning point. Really, the two of them came together. Really, Callahan sent it off very, very soon after that.
Yeah.
He'd have been disappointed he didn't clear the ball first off. He tried to take an extra freeze out of the ball and maybe run it out, got turned over, and he picked out a great pass. And it was probably only the likes of Austin Gleeson or Joe Cannings that have always Dwyers that can make that pass. Yeah. It was pinpoint accuracy across the goal, and Barron really, really finished strongly.
Well, one thing about this Waterford team has been said that they don't get many goals, and Jamie Barron actually kind of had a little dig after the game, in his interview, saying like, look, people are always saying like that we don't get goals. Here we are now in Croke Park, we got 4 today. Why do you think that is?
Well, they hadn't scored. The big question going into the game is, could Waterford score enough? And if they got a goal, it would help them. When they get a second goal, it's huge, because they're tight at back. They don't concede a lot. And the big question was, could Waterford score enough? So yeah, you're right in saying, they definitely, when it opened up, and I think that will be the way it'll be in the final as well. I think they'll keep it tight. They don't mind, and they don't do panic.
Yeah.
And they could go 3/4 of the match there, and they'll still believe that they'll go on and win it. But Kevin Moore and Brick Walsh, they were really strong at the start, and they kept Waterford in it at the start, really, for the first half. Really experienced players, rarely lose the ball. Very, very, long time there, and their experience will count, I think, as well in the final. So definitely, that's their system. They went away from the system, if you call it a system, in the first match in their match against Cork in the Munster semi-final, and I'd say they were very, very annoyed with themselves. And Derek McGrath really has turned it around massively. And he was interviewed after that match. He was really, I suppose, the first time I've seen him really annoyed and really on camera, because they didn't keep to the system or to their game plan really. But look, at every team have a game plan, and they'll go. Cork are no different. Cork play with two inside forwards really, and put out Kingston or Mead from time to time.
Did he have his head turned and maybe he was annoyed about that part of it, Anthony, or was it a sign maybe that his management was weaker at the beginning of the tournament, and that he's really stuck to his guns as they went through the back door?
No, I think they might have got slightly wrong, but they had changed their system slightly for the Cork match. Most definitely, they didn't go. They went closer to 15 on 15. They didn't go. They didn't go as traditional or as traditional on their viewpoint as they did normally. But it was more that guys didn't stay to what they had agreed on or what they had set out
to do.
So and they were a bit stale. They had gone 10 weeks as well without a match, and they were a bit off the pace at the end of June against Cork.
Certainly made up for yesterday.
Yeah, no mistake second time around.
No.
Well, the Irish Examiner points out at Heaven's Gate is the headline, Waterford earn another shot at All-Ireland glory. They've been at the semi-final stage, they've got past it now, they're in the All-Ireland final. Everybody's going to be talking about them now after that impressive display, against Cork. Can they live up to the expectation now?
Well, they'll go in as slight underdogs. I think the bookies have made Galway 1 to 2 favourites. Purely because of they've taken out the All-Ireland finalists and our winners in Tipperary. Definitely Waterford will go very, very close. They've huge experience now as well. But I would think that Galway's, what you pick up from losing the final in 15 and 2012 will help them that extra bit. There'll be big questions as well. Will Waterford have everybody? Conor Gleeson will be a huge loss to them. They'll have tied the Booker back, but there will be questions as well. Will Austin Gleeson get cited for an incident yesterday? But all in all, at this stage, it's down to who takes the right decisions in the key moments with 20 minutes to go in a match. It's no different than the Sunday before when I suppose Joe Canning popped up, and took the big plays as Austin Gleeson did yesterday. That's what it'll come down to. A few key decisions with 20 minutes to go, and the team that takes that will get that bit ahead and inevitably hold on.
Shane, do you agree?
Well, obviously Anthony prepared Galway brilliantly for the two finals in 12 and 15. In the lead up maybe over the next 3 weeks, Anthony, the manager is really reaffirming, I suppose, what he has done over the last, be it 12 months, 2 years, in Derek McGrath's case 3 or 4 years in Waterford. You touched on it there. It's really, the preparation is going to be 100%. The lead up, to keep the players maybe grounded is a challenge, maybe because it's a novel final. Waterford haven't won one since 1959, I think, Galway since 88. Long number of years for both counties. Both sets of supporters will be really looking forward to it. Is it hard to keep a lid on all that rolling into the final? I think that's the hardest thing. And then when you come to the match, it basically boils down to the players making the decisions on the day, and you maybe as a manager trusting them to do that. Or is that the case? I mean, is there a lot you can do now between here and the final outside of trying to control as best possible the external hype, or do you have to just focus on your own side and try to get things right?
Well, you always try to really sharpen up in your own game again, and no doubt Neil Donoghue and Derek McGrath will sit down and point out huge areas of improvement. Galway will want to improve and have to improve really, and can improve from their last day. And McGrath will look at Waterford, in particular their wides, and say,
big wide count yesterday,
huge wide count, and they'll say, listen, we've got to sharpen up on that. Half the number of wides, and they have another 6 or 7 points on the board with ease, really. So they'll hone in on that. They'll also hone in on matchups, and in particular, will Noel Connors, take up Conor Whelan? Probably will. He did a very good job yesterday on Alan Cadigan. So they'll pinpoint quite a bit of video work on that. So matchups will become very important. Austin Gleeson on Garage McInerney, how will go to handle Gleeson, because he plays off the 11 role, he plays on the wing at times, he'll go to midfield, he just is a free spirit there. He probably won't sit and stand under Garage McInerney, because McInerney had been outstanding in the second half, in particular against Tipperary. So you'll have that. Will David Buck take up Kevin Moore in midfield, or will Johnny Cohn match Barron's pace and work rate? So all of that will be gone through. The hype, there's quite a bit, but I suppose players are used to it now as well, and they'll just be honed in on training. There'll be a press night, even this week the press nights will be out of the way, and there'll be only 2 or 3 players after that, and it's quite defined as well. Probably the biggest thing would be social media and phones, and guys have a lot of access to that, and that's what they'll do on their own time. But most of them will be, have been through that through the year, and would have cut back in it and would try and lessen their external influence.
Yeah, I suppose really for Waterford, the Gleeson incident is going to take up a little bit of time, there's no doubt about it. As a manager, would you want that just done and dusted now, or would you drag him on? Does it impact on possible preparation? I know that the Burka thing went into late Thursday night. Are these sort of things that you just want clarity on as soon as possible, and it's either Jackson or Johnson, you get on with it and you move on and decide that unfortunately that's the way it has to be, however unfair on the player or however hard on the player it is?
Well, there's 3 weeks to go. The Austin Gleeson incident with the helmet, he probably won't be reported in a referee's report. There probably will be a CCC investigation on it, but like Adrian Toohey in Galway, which was a very, a similar incident, that was dealt with within a week. So Derek McGrath and Waterford will want it dealt with one way or the other this week.
Relatively quickly,
for me, I think a lot of the issues with helmets, I think it has to be refined. I think there has to be categorisation on the whole interference with helmets and where they come. If Stephen Bennett this year got sent off against Offaly really for a blatant pull, standing face to face with another guy. If you stand up and you pull a guy's helmet off, that's a red card.
Yeah.
In the case with Austin Gleeson and the Adrian Toohey incident, with Austin yesterday, there was a smuzzle, we call it that, on the ground. You're pushing players to tackle hard, to get turnovers. There'll be wrestling at times, or there'll be, definitely a pushing against another body. So, for me, I didn't see it as that dangerous, and I don't see those incidents as dangerous. But if you do interfere, that the rule is there that it's a red card or a yellow card. But for me, it wasn't that serious yesterday. There was contact. The ball was there were guys scrapping for possession, and when you do that, you have tussles. For me, striking is a lot more dangerous, and there's a lot more. Anything to the neck, I think, is far more dangerous. But I think some guys get carried away and probably haven't worn helmets, and for me, it's super now that everybody has a face guard. I suppose years and years ago, you didn't have a face guard, you lost your teeth, you got serious cuts, whatever. But I think they have to look at categorisation on the types of fouls that are there for helmets, especially.
Yeah, hopefully. I think we all hope common sense prevails, and that Gleeson gets his day in the sun, and he's not suspended for the final. Yeah,
whether it's Austin Gleeson or Adrian Toohey or Conor Gleeson or whoever, every young player in the country wants to go and see the Austin Gleesons of this world playing in the finals, and every young player throughout the country that doesn't even get to the finals, that isn't from Galway, Waterford, they're out there today, and they're a young Austin Gleeson out the back, and they're trying to do the skills and copy his pass yesterday. So that's what I think the game needs, and I think common sense, as you said, Shane. Yeah.